Welcome back to Perkins Pipes. Got a wonderful piece of art I'm excited to talk with you about today. Certainly one of my favorites from the ancient world. And as I so often do on these art episodes, I've got to bring out the pipe that to me is the most beautiful work of art in terms of a pipe that I own. The beautifully restored 100-year-old RBC meerschaum that my dear friend Jeremy Moore gave to me. And we had this restored, and boy, is it just a work of art in and of itself. So always seems appropriate to bring this guy out for an episode like this. And you know what I'm getting ready to say. Let's get this guy lit. Let's get to talking. Piece of art I want to talk about is the Discobolus by Myron. Now, some of you who really know art, you're going to know this one. And let's get my screen going there. Oops. Where did my screen go? There we go. All right, now we're all back to business. The neat thing about ancient Greek sculpture that I really enjoy, and I enjoy talking about it with my students, is you can really trace the progression and the development of human skill and knowledge of the human body as you look at Greek sculpture over time. Now, this isn't a whole seminar on Greek sculpture, so we'll just do a little bit with you here today. But some of the earliest stuff, and we'll bring up some pictures here. Some of the earliest stuff is, it's very good. It looks very modern because of its simplicity. And you see just the indication of features. So, for example, here we'll bring up this statue, one of the Cycladic statues from the kind of circular group of islands called the Cycladic Islands, or the Cyclades, off the coast of Greece. And you can see it right, there's a nose, and this minimalist kind of features there. You notice also that you really have no movement in the sculpture. All right, and the earliest stuff, you really see the arms are attached to the body, the legs are attached as well. There's no separation. And then, as time went on, and we became more skilled in our art and depictions of the human form, you see, for example, the simple separation of arms from the body. Or you see the separation of legs. And that's kind of a big deal. We now actually have two distinct legs, not just one block with a groove down the middle to indicate legs. So we really got it separated there. Still, musculature, very, very simple. Features very idealized. Same thing with hair. Not terribly realistic. Or at least not terribly detailed, we should say. And then I'm going to scroll way ahead. We're going to jump way ahead to another one of my favorites, and we may talk about it at another time. But the Laocoon statue group. And if you look at this one, you see the twisted masses of muscle, and you can really see the turned skeletal structure. And we've started to study we've studied ourselves. We've studied our skeletal structure and our musculature, and we've paid close attention to how these things change when we move. And when you move on one side, or you lift up your arm on another side, and what the effect is on the opposite side of the body. You see the incredibly detailed musculature in the forms of the human beings and in this particular sculpture group, which again, we may talk about this one at another time. But the one I really want to talk about today is this one. We'll bring it up now. It's called the Discobolus, or the Discus-Thrower, by a sculptor named Myron. Lived in about the mid 5th century BC, so the 400s BC. And I really like this. Right, I'm just going to call it up here for myself while recording the video, if I can. I got it, I think, somewhere already. There we go. So I just kind of want to look at it for myself while I'm talking about it. And what is really great about it is this is at the beginning of what we call the classical period of Greek sculpture. It's originally done in bronze. We know it because of numerous copies that have been made. Roman copies, some in bronze, some in marble. The original is gone. We don't have it anymore. But you look at this and you are seeing really now the beginnings of what will become the really great detailed figures that we saw, like, for example, in that Laocoon statue group. And if you think about statues today, those that aim at anatomical realism, you can really see the beginnings of that in this sculpture. So what do you have? You have this guy. He is twisting his torso, just wonderful twisting of his skeleton there as he is getting ready to hurl the discus. You don't have great detail on the musculature, but you can clearly see biceps and triceps. You can clearly see the indications of the pectoral muscles. You can see some of the abdominal, not to the level, again, that you're going to get later on, but you really are seeing the beginnings of this. Not only are the legs separated, but you can clearly see where his weight is in terms of putting the weight on one leg or another. I love the fingers of his left hand. As you're looking at them, you can see that they're all separated. So we've got great articulation on the fingers. Obviously, this person knows what it looks like to throw a discus. Myron obviously knows this. He's seen this. He's observed this. So you see that overhand grip of the right hand on top of the discus. You see that wonderful look of the head and the eyes going back along that right arm as he's then getting ready to uncurl. He's really getting curled up, right? He's really getting torqued up to get his to get all the force and the energy that he can into that discus, and then you can just see he's just about ready to boom, let that sucker go. Right? He's curled up just like a good golfer would do, or a baseball player. He's really wound his body up, and he's just about got it as far as it'll go, and he's getting ready to unleash it. So, a really, really neat statue. Again, going back to the 5th century BC. So at this point, we're talking over 2,500 years ago. And I'm curious. I'm curious what you think about that one. Did you know that one? Have you seen this one before? It is reasonably famous. Again, there's been lots and lots of copies of it. You know what? This isn't supposed to go out in the wind, but boy, it did. Still did again. Maybe able to pick up the wind chime behind me. Certainly a windy day here. Do you know this? Do you know the Discobolus of Myron? Have you ever thought about the development of sculpture? And in particular, have you thought about what it takes in terms of anatomical knowledge for artists to depict the human form? Again, whether in paint, sculpture, or some other artistic form, there's really quite a lot of study, quite a lot of observation that has to go into that, and knowing again how the changes of the skeletal structure affect changes in muscles. When muscles bunch up in one area, what happens to them in another area? And then, of course, there's the technical aspect, whether you're working in bronze, whether you're working in marble, wood, some other substance, how to reproduce that. So quite a lot going on when it comes to sculpture. So for this episode, we just wanted to introduce that one to you. Love to know what you think specifically about the Discobolus of Myron, what you think about the development of sculpture in general. Would love to hear your thoughts. As Malcolm Guite likes to say, I do these little things in order at last to do nothing. Or as I like to say in Latin, Parva ago ut tandem, nihil agam. Have a wonderful day.